All right. So it's been a few days, and I've done a little bit more work on the Hudson project. Um, I kept calling it the 325K. Well, I'm sure if I had any viewers on here, they'd be calling me out in the Polar Express know-it-all voice saying it's a K325. So it's K325. Sorry. Touch of dyslexia strikes again. So as I said, this engine was quite dirty, and it looked like it was buried outside in somebody's garden or something for a while. If you remember looking on the other video, you could have seen how dirty the tender was. I've since cleaned it. It looks pretty good now. A little plain dish soap and a medium thickness toothbrush and some hot water. You put it in the hot water with a dishwash or dish soap, and you scrub it. It makes it look pretty good. I'd already done this, but I didn't have this here at the last video I made. So this came out really good too. Like I said, just a little dish soap and some hot water and a brush, toothbrush. Works pretty good. Also, I still have some touching up to do on this one yet. Some people like to use certain things for touch up. Some guys use model paint, I've seen. I don't really care for model paint because if it's a semi-gloss or an older paint job like this, model paint is too glossy and it will look a little too, it'll stand out too much. I actually like, if you can find the right matte or semi-gloss spray paint, and you spray it in a cup, take a little touch-up brush or little dabber brushes and just dab it on your spots. That works too. Much better than model paint. Like I said, model paint tends to be a little too glossy. You don't have a more glossy finish. A little trick I learned also especially for Flyer is if you use black magic marker, preferably a permanent marker like a Sharpie, and then you just go over it real lightly and it blends it in. I mean, it from a distance, unless you're really looking at it, like I did a spot right here. Not sure how well you can see it. Did a spot there, a couple spots on here. If you look on here near the back, you can kind of see where I did some magic marker touch up. Some guys will say, oh, you shouldn't do it because it's whatever, but it doesn't matter what you touch these things up with. You're going to notice it, You're going to notice the touch up no matter what you use. I just think the magic marker works good for small spots. Now, if you have a large spot to touch up, I wouldn't use the magic marker. It would be too big. But for little chips and stuff, I think the magic marker, the Sharpie trick, works pretty good. And I can't even remember what I did on this. Some of the spots on here, you can kind of see. Like I said, if you look at it just right, if you're looking for it, and if you shine the light on it, just the right angle, you're going to see it. But any type of 70-some-year-old paint job, and you put touch-up on it, no matter what you use, you're going to tell it's touched up. So I kind of like it, like I said, for small areas. If you have a large area, I wouldn't use it because it would really stand out. But I think so far, for considering how they started, they're looking pretty good. Also, I took the motor apart. This goes on here. This is the field. And behind the field goes the brush holder. You can tell some of the older ones, this looks like regular plastic. Some of them are made out of Bakelite. That was the pre-plastic. So some of these are still made out of Bakelite, some of these. But this is a 52. I don't know. Like I said, I think this is plastic. I don't know. So that goes on there. Brush holder goes on the back. And then this goes in here. There's a worm gear. So it goes in here and he screws in. Now when you're taking the engine motor apart, this, like I said, this goes on here, this goes in the back. And then you have your springs that hold your brushes, and your brushes make contact on here. Well, these little clips here on the back, these are the brush holders. These clip in here, and that's what holds the brush and the spring and the brush in. You have to be careful when you take it apart, because if you're not, and you pull this off of the brush holder, the spring will take off and you'll never see it again. Because this is sometimes, and getting them on is harder than taking it off. Like I said, if you pop this off with the spring in there, pushing on that brush, and you don't pay attention, you may never see it again. Well, either I wasn't paying attention or this only had one spring in it, because I popped this off of here and there was no spring in the one side. So I don't know. I don't know if it was missing a spring or what, but maybe that's the reason this didn't run at all when I first tried it. But it wasn't getting any kind of juice, so I'm not sure that would have affected it or not. So, like I said, I'm breaking it down slowly. I got the engine, I keep calling it an engine. Got the motor off. So I got the smoke unit. I'm going to leave the smoke unit on for now because I looked inside of it and it looks crusty and dirty in there. So I don't know if it's going to need to be rebuilt or what's going to have to happen with the smoke unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my power supply. Maybe next video I'll try it out in video. I'm going to hook these two wires up to my power supply, get some heat in there, put some fluid in it, and then work the chuffer here, see if I can get it, see if the smoke unit works. To those of you who are not familiar with Flyer, this is the smoke unit and the chuff unit. To those of you who know Flyer, this is very basic knowledge for anyone who's ever worked on these. But smoke fluid in here. This gets the juice. There's an element, and I forget the name of the wire, wrapped around like an angel hair type wrapping, almost like a wick, almost like a wick you'd see in like a tiki lamp wick. And you wrap the wire around the wick, put it inside here, and then each one of these ends goes to the other end of the wire. And I cannot remember the damn name of that wire right now. Coming to me later. And then what that does is that heats up the wick and heats up the fluid. And then as you're running, this gear goes in here and connects the chuff gear and the main gear. And then this little plunger goes back and forth, as you'll hear. This makes the chuff sound. There's also a little pinhole in the front that goes into the smoke box. And as you're driving, in sequence with the rotation of the drivers, it puffs the smoke out. So anyway, so that's going to be one of my next things I'm going to do. Giving this an overall look, doesn't look like it was run or used all that much, honestly. It looks in fairly good shape. Commutators and the looks pretty clean. I'm going to test it, but that looks pretty good. So should be pretty good with that. As far as I know for that. But next step will be to, like I said, take the smoke unit off, and then I'm going to clean, scrub the whitewash, try to get this looking better. Fortunately, like I said, all that seems to be pretty good so far. Then this mess of the tender, like I said on the other one, I haven't done nothing in this yet. I haven't cleaned it up yet or nothing. But I notice if I rotate, and you rotate this through, it wants to hang up. Usually you can see the barrel hangs up. Sometimes that's usually one of two things. Sometimes it's either the little claw's bent. Can't see with all the speaker stuff. The claw's either bent and or it just needs to be cleaned and lubricated or adjusted. So that's going to be one of the next steps. I'm going to take the tender apart, take all the stuff off. I'll probably put this in the dish soap and clean this out too. Along with the plans, I hope to find a new plug. I want to rewire everything on here. Get that all rewired. So that's basically where I'm at with this. Like I said, I have the boiler all down. I'm going to I got all the handrails off. I'm going to take the rest of these pipes off and clean them up. And I don't know, we'll see what I do with the next video. But it's at a train show a couple weeks ago. I've been dealing with Flyer stuff about 4 years or so. I'm no expert by any means, like I always say. I always say I know enough to be dangerous, which isn't a good thing. But this guy sells old Lionel and some Flyer repop parts. And he said these are American Flyer standard gauge. And I swear he said these are standard gauge marker lights. But and I'm like, well, that looks pretty big for any kind of standard gauge, anything, O or S. Long story short, I must not have known what standard gauge Flyer is, because I seen one over the weekend and I've never seen how big a standard gauge Flyer engine is. But these are not marker lights. These are headlights. Pile, I guess you'd say, pile style headlights for standard gauge Flyer. Not sure why one has red and green on the side, but these are going to probably be marker lights on my live steam 1.5" scale caboose, probably. So, yeah, you live and learn. I don't know. Now I want to kind of get into some standard gauge Flyer pre-war. Not that I'm going to, but I'd like to have at least one for the shelf. So I got some other things here. I got this smoke box door. The headlight lens is all smashed and chipped. I'm going to replace that somehow. Like I said, got the field here. I'm going to clean. Everything's getting cleaned, detailed, one step at a time as I get around to it. And these are the handrails and the side valve and all are really messed up. This is old metal, old chrome, old whatever it is. So usually you can clean it up with a wire wheel or something. This is the side handrail. Needs cleaning and to be kind of bent back into shape. But I guess whatever I can't get looking good, I'm going to replace somehow if I can. But anyway, this is where I stand with this. And thanks for checking it out.